My being the oldest president, I know more world leaders than any one of you ever met in your whole goddamn life.
President Biden is not holding back. You heard him there just responding to reporters who were talking about his age. You heard him say, I know more world leaders than any of you. With age comes experience. Now, on January 6th, a day that will forever live in infamy, when 4 years ago, January 6, 2021, Donald Trump tried to overthrow our democracy by leading an insurrection. Today, as the electoral votes are set to be counted, President Biden has a powerful message for Donald Trump. He put it in an op-ed in the Washington Post. It's called What Americans Should Remember About January 6th. 4 years ago, our democracy was put to the test and prevailed. Strong words. I want to talk about it. I want to also talk about President Biden's actions this past weekend, because when I interviewed President Biden in the Roosevelt Room on the West Wing of the White House, he told me that the legacy he wants to leave behind is that he kept his word. It was promises made, promises kept. Here's another example of that. Over the weekend, President Biden signed legislation expanding Social Security benefits for millions of teachers, firefighters, nurses, police officers, other public employees and their spouses and survivors. A big deal, expanding Social Security. As we all know, that Donald Trump, Project 2025, and MAGA are looking to take away Social Security benefits. Another big deal, another powerful message being sent right before January 6th. President Biden awarding Hillary Clinton, who lives rent-free in Donald Trump's head, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian honor. And it was, of course, very well deserved. Let's take a look at this op-ed, though, right now, and then let's talk more about it. This is what President Biden just wrote. On this January 6th, order will be called. Clerk, staff, and members of Congress will gather to certify the results of a free and fair presidential election and ensure a peaceful transfer of power. Capitol Police will stand guard over the citadel of our democracy. The Vice President of the United States, faithful to her duty under our Constitution, will preside over the certification of her opponent's victory in the November election. It is a ceremony that for more than 2 centuries has made America a beacon to the world, a ceremony that ratifies the will of the voters. For much of our history, this proceeding was treated as pro forma, a routine act. But after what we all witnessed on January 6, 2021, we know we can never again take it for granted. Violent insurrectionists attacked the Capitol, threatened the lives of elected officials, and assaulted brave law enforcement officers. We should be proud that our democracy withstood this assault, and we should be glad we will not see such a shameful attack again this year. But we should not forget, we must remember the wisdom of the adage that any nation that forgets its past is doomed to repeat it. We cannot accept a repeat of what occurred 4 years ago. An unrelenting effort has been underway to rewrite, even erase the history of that day. To tell us we didn't see what we all saw with our own eyes. To dismiss concerns about it as some kind of partisan obsession. To explain it away as a protest that just got out of hand. This is not what happened. In time, there will be Americans who didn't witness the January 6th riot firsthand, but will learn about it from footage and testimony of that day, from what is written in history books, and from the truth that we pass on to our children. We cannot allow the truth to be lost. Thousands of rioters crossed the National Mall and climbed the Capitol walls, smashing windows and kicking down doors. Just blocks away, a bomb was found near the location of the incoming vice president, threatening her life. Law enforcement officials were beaten, dragged, knocked unconscious, and stomped upon. Some police officers ultimately died as a result. As president-elect that day, I spoke to the country and called for peace and for the certification to resume. 4 years later, leaving office, I am determined to do everything I can to respect the peaceful transfer of power and restore the traditions we have long respected in America. The election will be certified peacefully. I have invited the incoming president to the White House. on the morning of January 20th, and I will be present for his inauguration that afternoon. But on this day, we cannot forget. This is what we owe those who founded this nation, those who have fought for it and died for it. And we should commit to remembering January 6, 2021 every year, to remember it as a day when our democracy was put to the test and prevailed, to remember that democracy, even in America, is never guaranteed. We should never forget it is our democracy that makes everything possible, our freedoms, our rights, our liberties, our dreams, and that it falls to every generation of Americans to defend and protect it. Very well said by President Biden. Now, in addition to awarding Hillary Clinton the Medal of Freedom, Jose Andres, Bono, Jane Goodall, Michael J. Fox, Magic Johnson, Robert F. Kennedy Sr., Hillary Rodham Clinton, Bill Nye the Science Guy, and Denzel Washington received the award. I want to show you the moment when Michael J. Fox got the award. Here, play this clip. Now, I want to contrast that to the individual who Donald Trump gave the Medal of Freedom to, Rush Limbaugh, who in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s really was one of the main factors that led to a very dark, disinfo, a horrific age of hate and division in the media. This was Rush Limbaugh mocking Michael J. Fox and saying Michael J. Fox was faking it. Play this clip.
In this commercial, he is exaggerating the effects of the disease. He is moving all around and shaking, and it's purely an act. This is the only time I have ever seen Michael J. Fox portray any of the symptoms of the disease he had. He can control himself enough to stay in the frame of the picture, and he can control himself enough to keep his eyes right on the lens, the teleprompter. But his head and shoulders are moving all over the place. So this is really shameless, folks. This is really shameless of Michael J. Fox. Either he didn't take his medication or he's acting.
And there's a reason that Donald Trump gave the Medal of Freedom to someone like Rush Limbaugh. This is who Donald Trump is. Remember when Donald Trump mocked the journalist with physical disabilities from the New York Times? Here's the image of that right there. That is who Donald Trump is. And I mention that because, to me, character matters, folks. And when you see President Biden's statements, his powerful message, I think his dignity and wisdom that comes with his age, I think it's important that we reflect upon someone who actually got things done versus all the empty, hateful rhetoric of Donald Trump. President Biden says, "I'm proud to be the first president in more than 20 years to expand Social Security benefits. Workers who dedicated their lives to their communities deserve to retire with dignity and security." He then posts, "I'm proud that my administration has taken on price gouging by cracking down on hidden junk fees like surprise overdraft and deposit fees, credit card late fees, and hotel booking fees. They add up and the American people were sick of being played for suckers. One of the things I'm proudest is passing the Inflation Reduction Act, the bill that allowed us to negotiate lower prices for prescription drugs for the first time. Not a single Republican voted for it, but we got it done and finally beat Big Pharma." And then he writes, "Since I took office, we've recovered all of the jobs lost during the pandemic and added 7 million more. We didn't just recover, we built a foundation of stable growth for years to come." And here's President Biden making comments during the signing of the Social Security Fairness Act, which gave so many Americans Social Security who wouldn't have otherwise received it. Play this clip.
Americans who have worked hard all their lives to earn an honest living should be able to retire with economic security and dignity. That's the entire purpose of the Social Security system crafted by Franklin Delano Roosevelt nearly 90 years ago. Social Security is the bedrock of financial security for retirees and survivors, and for millions of Americans with disabilities. But we've all heard the stories like the one that Betty shared today. Public sector employees, teachers, nurses, maintenance workers, and more. Many working second jobs beyond their public service, often just because they needed to make ends meet. The law that existed denied millions of Americans access to the full Social Security benefits they earn by thousands of dollars a year. That denial of benefits also applied to surviving spouses of public service employees. Benefits cut that cost them security and a little bit of dignity.
As I said, I'm not going to play clips of Donald Trump. I don't even want to show more images of him. I don't want to show you his posts. It's not worth it. I wanted to give you that powerful message by President Biden. Thank you very much, and hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.